In North Korea, you don't inherit money. You inherit a score called Songbun. It's your social caste, and it determines everything from the food on your plate to the roof over your head. You can spend your whole life being perfect, but it only takes 4 seconds for your father to destroy it all. This is the moment you stop being a citizen and start being a mistake. Level 1. The Blessed Child. You are 7 years old, living in a gray block in Pyongyang. Your father is a mid-level engineer, and your Songbun is clean. You are the elite. Every morning, you dust the great leader's portrait with a special cloth that never touches anything else. Your mother watches every movement, making sure you show enough respect. At school, you sing the loudest, and the teacher puts a gold star next to your name. You don't know yet that the star isn't a reward. It's a marker that you're still worth keeping. Level 2. The Whisper. You're 9. Your father comes home late, smelling of cheap soju and exhaustion. While you do your math, he mutters something about ration cuts and how much longer this can last. Your mother's face turns to stone. She looks at the radio on the wall, the one that has no off switch and never stops listening. The next morning, your father's chair is empty. 3 days later, men in brown uniforms take him. Your mother cries without making a sound. You are told to pack one bag. Your status is now hostile. Level 3. The Dust Breather. The train to South Hamgyong Province has no windows in the cargo section. You are 11 years old, and your new world is a coal mine where the sun never reaches. The air is a thick, choking fog of black dust that settles in your lungs like lead. Every morning starts with a coughing fit, spitting black phlegm into a rusted tin cup. Your mother died 4 months ago from pneumonia. The guards left her body in the corner of the barracks for 2 days because the ground was too frozen to dig. You sleep on a wooden plank with 43 other prisoners. A man named Chol Woo teaches you how to sniff out rat nests for extra protein. You eat them raw because fuel for a fire is more expensive than your life. At night, the darkness is filled with whimpering. You learn to sleep through it or you don't survive the next shift. Level 4. The Listener. You are 14, and your ribs no longer stick out as much. A guard named Officer Sung pulls you aside after the morning count. He looks at your hands, calloused and bloody, and tells you that you're too smart to die in a tunnel. He offers a deal: keep swinging the pickaxe until your heart stops, or start paying attention to the whispers. He wants names. He wants to know who complains about the rations, who hides a scrap of dried fish, who looks at the portraits without enough joy. You say yes before he even finishes the sentence. That night, he gives you a double ration of steamed corn. It's the first time in 3 years you felt a full stomach. You report a man in bunk 12 for saying the leader's birthday is a waste of resources. He is dragged out before dawn. You don't look him in the eye. Your hands stop bleeding, and you are moved to the inventory warehouse. Level 5. The Shadow. By 17, you aren't a prisoner anymore. You're a volunteer assistant. You wear a clean gray armband and carry a clipboard that feels heavier than a rifle. Your job is to be the ghost in the barracks. When you walk through the halls, the talking stops instantly. Mothers pull their children behind them when they see your shadow. You stand in the corner during meals, watching micro expressions and listening for the slightest hint of dissent. You hear a woman whisper to her daughter, asking why they bow to a portrait when there's no bread on the table. You write her name down without a second thought. She disappears within 72 hours. You have a private room now, a real blanket, and a pillow that doesn't smell like coal. You look in the mirror and tell yourself this is what survival looks like. You've traded your soul for a blanket, and you're starting to think it was a fair deal. Level 6. The Instrument. You're 21. Officer Sung gets his promotion and takes you with him. They send you to a specialized facility near Kachin for re-education. 6 weeks of combat drills and ideological brainwashing. You learn the anatomy of pain, how to use a baton to break a spirit without leaving a mark that shows on a report. You learn exactly where to strike to get a confession before the heart stops. You pass with honors. Your reward? They assign you back to the very same mine where your mother's lungs gave out. But this time, you aren't carrying a pickaxe. You wear the crisp brown uniform and carry a Type 58 rifle. The first time you strike a prisoner for moving too slowly, you vomit behind the barracks. The second time, you don't even blink. You've stopped being a victim and started being the machine. Level 7. The the executor. You're 24, and the morning counts are your kingdom. 317 prisoners, and you know the breaking point of every single one. One of them is Chol Woo, the man who taught you how to catch rats to stay alive when you were 11. He's a gray, hollowed-out ghost now, and he doesn't recognize the boy he once protected. A new directive comes down from Pyongyang. Productivity quotas must double. Anyone who fails the tonnage goes to the discipline block. Chol Woo's strength fails him on a Wednesday. You're the one who drags him across the frozen dirt to the concrete cells. The room smells of stale piss and old iron. As you reach for the heavy iron door, he looks up at your face. His eyes widen in the dim light. "Little brother," he whispers, his voice cracking. You don't answer. You lock the door and don't come back for 3 days. When you finally open it, the room is silent. Level 8, the foreman. By 27, you are the camp foreman. You oversee 4 barracks, nearly 600 souls whose lives depend on your mood. You have an office with a heavy oak desk and a black telephone that connects directly to the Regional Security Bureau. You spend your days writing reports that determine who eats and who dies. Prisoner 4521, ideological weakness. Prisoner 3890, attempted sabotage. Most of it is fiction you invent to satisfy the quotas. If no one is punished, the Bureau will think you've gone soft. You sign the execution orders yourself now. Your signature a sharp practice stroke. Your hand doesn't shake anymore. The coal dust is gone from your lungs, replaced by the smell of expensive tobacco and the cold, clean air of authority. You've climbed to the top of the scrap heap, and all it cost was everything you used to be. Level 9, the architect, you're 31. Your reputation for cold efficiency gets you transferred to Camp 14, a massive industrial hellscape holding 50,000 souls. As deputy commandant, you are the brain of the machine. You design the labor shifts, the starvation rations, and the re-education cycles. You attend monthly briefings in Pyongyang, where high-ranking officials praise your numbers. You've mastered the balance. Keep mortality just low enough to hit production targets, but high enough to keep the fear absolute. You live in a private compound with a television, real soap, and fresh fish. One evening during a routine inspection, you see a young girl in the barracks who looks exactly like your sister, but your sister died in the mines when you were 9. You don't investigate. You don't ask her name. You simply have her transferred to the stone quarry the next morning. You never want to see that face again. Level 10. The ghost who guards ghosts. By 35, you are the commandant. Every dawn, you walk the 12-kilometer perimeter of electrified wire and guard towers, half of which you built yourself. You stop outside a barracks and see a 7-year-old boy dusting a portrait of the supreme leader. His mother watches his hands with terrified precision, making sure he uses the sacred cloth correctly. You stand there, frozen. For a split second, you're back in that gray apartment in Pyongyang. You hear your father's whisper in the kitchen. You try to remember his face, but it's gone, replaced by the thousands of hollowed-out eyes you've stared down over the years. You look at the boy, and he looks back. His eyes are already empty. He's learning. If he's smart, if he listens, if he betrays enough people, he will become you in 20 years. And the ones who don't, you'll be the one who signs their death warrants. You return to your office to find a new order. Increase camp population by 15%. You pick up the phone and start making the calls. You've won. You have heat, electricity, and a photograph of the leader on every wall. But as you look at your reflection in the dark window, you realize you're wearing the exact same brown uniform the men wore when they took your father. And somewhere in the camp, a boy is dusting a portrait, and the cycle begins again. You realize the truth now. The system didn't just take your family, it took your humanity and fed it back to you in exchange for a warm blanket and a title. You aren't a survivor. You are the very monster that destroyed the boy you used to be. You spend your nights in a silent, well-lit apartment, staring at the phone, waiting for the day a younger version of yourself comes to knock on your door with a recalculation order. In this game, the only way to stop dying is to become the death itself. The cycle never ends. It just finds new ghosts to guard the wire. How long would you last before you traded your soul for a meal? This is the reality for millions, hidden behind a curtain of silence. If this journey into the depths of the Songbun system shook you, then you're in the right place. We explore the darkest hierarchies of history and the human psyche, the stories they don't want you to hear. Click the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Don't let your story be forgotten in the gray, because the next level is always deeper than the last.